Good morning, Kevin. Thank you so much for chatting with us today. To get us started, tell us a little bit about yourself and your initial experience with disability. We're looking for any personal information you want to share from your life. So the floor is yours, sir.
Sure. Well, thanks for having me, Graham. My name is Kevin Orr. I'm 53 years old and I'm from Pelham, Alabama. I'm originally from Illinois, and I grew up with a disability called arthrogryposis. I'm an identical twin, and my identical twin does not have any disability at all, which was probably a good thing for me because growing up, really everything that he encountered, I was able to experience as well, and really just it helped me how to adapt. After I graduated from the University of Illinois, I moved to Alabama. I met my wife. We were married in 1993, and then now we have two children who are adults. Of a 24-year-old daughter and a 21-year-old daughter who was married 1 year ago. And so really living a normal life as most people would expect. And really the experiences with my disability are just part of life's experiences. And I think that's what we all experience, and making our own adaptations and adjustments as we go along.
All right, that's very good. So you say you're a twin. I hear you say that you were a twin.
Yes, I'm an identical twin. And again, they did a lot of tests when I was younger. And with arthrogryposis, I think sometimes it seems like it's a catch-all disability grouping, but basically, essentially function like a T11 para, but I do have full sensation, but I have limited range of motion in most of my joints, including my shoulders, my hips, my knees, my ankles, and I don't really have any leg muscles to speak of. I have hip flexors, and I can wiggle my toes, which is kind of a weird deal, but again, I more or less function like a T11 para.
It's interesting, very interesting. I know that I mentioned that too because I'm also have a twin brother, and we're fraternal twins though, not identical. So we have a commonality besides both having disabilities. We have that commonality too. So as you know, October is National Disability Employment Awareness Month, and these fireside chats are to highlight Alabamians with disabilities and their journey into employment. In that context, in the employment context, can you share with us what your first and subsequent experiences were with employment and having a disability and how you got to your current career?
Sure. Well, my experience was growing up with a disability. Really wasn't sure what I was going to do, and throughout grade school, I had an interest in science, which was interesting, and I thought that I was going to get into chemical engineering. Was my initial passion, I guess, because I was really good at science and math, and really trying to paint my picture as far as what I guess most people would normally think of. Couldn't really do a lot of blue collar work from a lot of the people that I had around me. That's kind of they were in trades, and it wasn't necessarily a path that I foresaw myself doing. And then in the 1984 Olympic Games, my mom calls me in and says, "Hey, check out this wheelchair racing event that's on TV." There was a 1,500-meter wheelchair exhibition for men and an 800-meter exhibition for women. And during the lead up for that, they mentioned a woman named Sharon Hedrick, who actually won the event. But she talked about the University of Illinois, and her husband was the coach of the program. And really, when I went there, they showed me a lot of different things about wheelchair sports, but also talked about the importance of education and the importance of employment, and how sport leads into those type of things. It teaches the behaviors and things like that. And immediately I felt that's what I need to do. Is I felt that that's the path where I need to go. It wasn't going to use science in the capacity of science, but it was to use sport as a mechanism to teach people that life skills that are learned through sports and recreation are avenues to independence and employment. And really that was the direction where I went, is not only competing in athletics, but also using the experiences of understanding how those things can help people that have different disabilities do that. And then in late 1990, I did an internship at Lakeshore Hospital. So I went from the University of Illinois and wanted to move south. And Lakeshore Hospital and Lakeshore Foundation were doing programs for children with physical disabilities. So I wanted to do an internship in that environment. I also got an opportunity to work in the rehab hospital and learn the recreation piece from that end. But really the interest of working with children and adults with physical disabilities was really what I wanted to do. So I had an opportunity to work with children. And a lot of times people thought, well, you're going to do this as you're teaching sport. But again, I think the idea of sport and recreation, it's a great path to get people engaged in social skills, leadership, networking, all the kind of things that you need to be successful in employment. And that was the path that I took. So not only doing recreation programs, but did a lot of athletic programs. And then in January of 1991, I started my employment for Lakeshore. And I worked there for 18 years, and I did many programs for children and adults. Some were very successful on the court, but my philosophy was always success breeds success. And with the children's program, we did recreation programs, but we also did a career connections part of that, because and it was with a woman named Bonner Wagner, who her husband worked for the Department of Rehab Services. But the idea is, again, it was sharing the philosophy that you have children with different disabilities and they weren't sure what they were going to do. So trying to introduce what kind of employment opportunities might be available through a recreation program. So and then the wheelchair rugby program that I coached, it was interesting. We had four players on our team that had master's degrees. We had some people that were never employed, and then talked to them about employment and how that can make you more independent, how that could provide the resources so you can drive and live on your own and do all those kind of things. So when I left in 2009, I'm happy to say that every player on our team was employed or in school. And again, it's a philosophy. It's so instead of living on Social Security and having all the dependence on whatever kind of grants and things might be available, they're actually making their own living and being able to do things. So the success on the court, again, it carried over to success off the court, and I take the greatest pride in that with the program that I did there. And then I went to coach wheelchair rugby in Canada. I was there for 7.5 years, and I'm currently the head coach of the Japan national team, and travel back and forth to Japan, which we recently competed in the Tokyo Paralympic Games, winning the bronze medal. And really part of the endeavor with those kind of things is really to teach the same kind of things, is teaching independence. We have a lot of players that do work, and they're playing competitively as well. So the philosophy continues, and it's just a different mechanism.
So would you say, Kevin, that so sports, so I hear that sports, it gives people some of the skills they need to work competitively out in the real world and get a job. Would you say that the sports helped you build your confidence? Did it give you confidence?
I certainly think it gives you confidence. That it shows you what you can do. I mean, a lot of times, growing up, a lot of people want to tell you what you can't do. And the thing through sport is you try to figure out how to do certain things and different ways to do it and how to be successful at it. So having that ability or that that attitude, some people may think it's elitist, but the idea is that we people with disabilities, we have to adjust. Um, Not everything's going to be, perfectly smoothly paved for us. So the idea is that, building those, the confidence in ourselves and our ability to adapt to the real world, I think is the other thing that sport teaches us, is that, we can be adaptable. We can figure out how to do certain things, even though our bodies may not function a certain way. Sport teaches us, how to work with the things that we have and how to excel with the things that we have. And I think that's the beauty that sports taught me.
That's great. Do you feel like your internship, starting out with an internship, really helped you get a job?
Well, the idea is that, I was a bit of an overachiever, but, I wanted to do everything. And, the idea is a person with a disability is a lot of times, even doing an internship, I think people somewhat want to prove what you can't do. And, I wanted to go above and beyond what people's expectations might be. So I think the internship really helped me do things. And then from that, I was expecting to go back to school, and go back to the University of Illinois and work for a master's degree and continue competing. I had competed in the 1988 Seoul Paralympics, and I was a top-ranked wheelchair racer with an expectation of competing in Barcelona. But really, the opportunity was afforded to me that they actually created a job for me at Lakeshore. It was a 3/4 time position as an inpatient therapeutic recreation specialist and a 1/4 time community-based recreation program, doing youth programs as well as starting a wheelchair rugby program and doing some other recreation. And it was funny because I'd end up working 30 hours a week as kind of a clinical inpatient rec therapist, but then I was also working 20 to 30 hours a week as a person that was doing community-based recreation programs for kids and adults. And then in '93, really that evolved into the merger with HealthSouth and ReLife, afforded the opportunity for some financial opportunities for Lakeshore Foundation, which allowed me to have a full-time job as a therapeutic recreation person, community-based setting for Lakeshore Foundation, which was really, really great because then it allowed me to do full-time, really what I was hoping to do all along.
That's great. So would you say that the internship and these other jobs helped you really to build your network of contacts, and that was helping you be successful in your career?
Well, I think internships are certainly a great avenue. I think all the networking that opportunities, because I had opportunities during my internship to work with people from the Lakeshore facility of the Department of Rehab Services. It allowed me to meet sponsors because we were doing different events. We did, I was involved as an intern with at the time it was the Pepsi Vulcan Run. So I was able to meet some high profile people from Birmingham, from Buffalo Rock and from some of the media outlets in Birmingham. And to me, it just really, again, that's the thing that sport does, is it teaches networking. And through that internship, I mean, I had a great experience. And I mean, Lakeshore was a pretty high profile place. But the other neat thing is that Birmingham is such a small town feel. I mean, I grew up in the Chicago suburbs, and you really never had that same kind of feel. But Birmingham had that that outlet. Excuse me one second. I've got to quiet my dog.
Yeah, you got a fan there. Okay, so
She may bark again. we have kittens, and my daughter's feeding the kittens. So
Oh,
um, but
wow. Good.
she gets
So
excited when that's happening.
sure, sure, absolutely. So we've been talking about your career and where you start out. You told us about your education and your family, just a few other things. Can you tell us about a time where in your life where you had adversity and you overcame it?
Well, the best opportunity I could tell you was after I lost my position as the head coach of Canada. I actually applied for several positions in and around Birmingham and in Alabama, and I'd send my resume out, and my resume basically screams that I have a disability. So, denied opportunities. Here I am as a head coach of an organization, um, doing really, really well, being successful. Um, and I mean, to me, that it really it hurt almost. Asking around, and it was funny because I had heard about the National Disability Awareness Month during that time, because it was in October of 2016, and I'm thinking, man, the employability of people with disabilities is difficult, because I mean, I have the skill set to do a lot of things, leading an organization and people putting trust in what I'm doing, and going, okay, I'm sending out my resume to basically for at the time it was even just minimum wage jobs, to try to do something to pay my mortgage, and to, I had two children in college, and I mean, I had to continue to provide for my family. So, after like 4 revisions, basically I just rooted it out, and I put where my qualifications were. Um, and I think that was the thing, is that, if people are going to look for employment, um, and even showcasing what you have, I think it's to show the content of your character, to borrow, from Martin Luther King Jr. Yeah, I think that was the city of brotherhood that he was looking for, and the idea of applying that to us is that we should be judged by the content of our character, not because we have a disability, not because the color of our skin or anything else. It's by what we can provide for an organization. And really, that's what I put in my resume. And once I did that, I started getting more and more calls back, and opportunities to interview for positions, and doing that. And it was funny, out of the blue, I just got a call from Japan and said, "Hey, we want you to be our head coach." And that was without applying. So, I mean, God works in mysterious ways. But the idea is, the adversity that I dealt with is that it just proved to me that we should be defined by our character and by the things that we can provide people, and not by any kind of perceived barriers that we think, or where other people may think we have. Is that, let's show people what we're able to provide for them, and the value that we have as employees and employable people. I think that's the beauty that we can provide.
So basically, you had a lot of information at one time in the resume about your disability. And then when you took a lot of that away and you just focused on your qualifications, then people began to see you as more employable. Is that what I hear?
Yeah, well, I mean, because I've worked in the disability realm since I was employed. I coached wheelchair sports. I did, a lot of things. But instead of saying I coached wheelchair sports and I did this, this, and this, it was, I was able to lead a multi-million-dollar organization. And again, putting the skills and abilities of what I did, not necessarily for whom, although that was included in the information because it was who I was there for. But at the same time, as I think potential prospects of people that were looking for employees, they were able to look past, okay, well, I did, I was coaching, whatever, or I did this kind of thing. Is that they wanted to see what kind of things I could provide for their organization, not, oh, well, he's a wheelchair user, and he's going to be he's going to be a burden on our organization. It really just put, hey, at a computer, I can do public speaking, I can do budgeting, I can I can manage people. It's putting those kind of skills and that skill set, and it's really boasting that, and not, hey, we were, 5-time national champion in wheelchair rugby, because a lot of people really don't care about that.
Well, that's impressive to me. Would you have any other advice for a person with a disability trying to get a job? You've given us some good information right there, what you just stated, but is there anything else that you might offer to help as advice to somebody with a disability when they're trying to obtain employment?
Well, having done youth programs, the thing that I would really advise children and their adults, again, a lot of people that I've worked with over 30 years, they wanted to focus on their disability, and my thing to them was, you need to focus on what you want to do, and then make yourself the best at that. So, if you're going to be a computer science person, you need to be very adept at computer science. You need to be able to write code. You need to be able to do it proficiently. You need to be able to do it competitively, because that's what employers want. And the thing is that they're not just going to hire you because they're going to fill a quota or do anything like that. Is that they want to have valued employees. And then you also want, it's not just about your ability to do a job, but you need to be able to get along well with people. And to me, again, I think that sports was one of those things that really helped teach those behaviors. And I really encourage that with the children and adults that I worked with. And make yourself versatile. I think that's the other thing, is that, the more versatile you are, the more value that you provide an organization. So I think that's the other thing, is that, don't put yourself in a box. And really show people what you're able to provide for them. And I think that's the beauty of what I've been able to do. And then it's funny, because I get more calls from outside of the state and country to want to do what I do. But I think people begin to recognize the value that you have. And I think the more that you can do that, I think that just makes you an asset for their organization.
So that's excellent advice, emphasizing the value that you can add to an organization and getting a job. That's excellent advice. Appreciate that. So trying to switch to a little bit lighter topic, do you have a personal motto, and how do you apply that in your life?
I've always had the motto is, I can. You can, and I think having an I can attitude, really, you try to figure out what you're going to do. I mean, I think that's probably been instilled in me since I was little. Is my family growing up, they really, if I would ever feel down or anything like that, can't, never could, all those kind of things. But really, it wasn't to think about the negative I can't. It's to think about I can. I think I've always had that. That's always been part of my motto, and the way that I live my life is, you try to figure out how to do things, which it really goes to one of my hobbies. Is I like to fish. I like bass fishing, which fits in well in Alabama. But the beauty of bass fishing is you have to figure out how to catch it. The bass don't care who you are, what you have, what your issues are. It's your ability to catch the fish and adjust to what they're doing. So it really goes along with kind of my overall persona is, hey, I can do anything I put my mind to. I've got to adjust to the way that life comes at me.
That's an excellent motto. I like it. I can. So you don't place any limits on yourself. You adapt to any situation. And I like your fishing analogy. That's very good. Just think of a job as a fish out there, and you can grab hold of it. That cares about what your skills are. That's what really matters. That's what I hear you saying. Your skills are what matters, and develop those. This is excellent. So, question I have: what is the most important lesson you have learned on your journey? And what advice or words of encouragement would you give to others on their journey to employment?
Well, I think it's always learning. I think that's the thing along my journey is you're always trying to learn and you're always trying to better yourself or diversify yourself. Um, as I've seen going through life is that, one thing that may have worked 10 years ago isn't applicable today. So it's the more that you can kind of learn new skills, try new things, get along the way. Look ahead too to see what kind of trends are going that direction. Is what am I going to be? Not, hey, I'm doing this great now, but what is it going to look like in my future as well? So it's adjusting to the future, as well as perfecting what you're doing today. So and I guess I've never been satisfied, and that's the other thing too, is that I think if once you kind of get satisfied, then you stop challenging yourself and you stop growing. And I think the more that you can keep growing, um, yeah, I really think that that's the key to our success is that we're not stagnant and things keep going forward, and you're excited to go to work, and it's just really, um, and then you have passion. I think that's really having passion for what you do is also very, very important.
This is great advice. It's Kevin Orr's how-to guide, and this is based on your life, and you're definitely an excellent role model. You've helped a lot of people, in coaching these teams and giving people confidence and using sport as a stepping stone into employment. I've kind of, you've given us a roadmap here today. Another question I wanted to ask you. So pay attention to what Kevin Orr is saying here today. He's giving you some great advice. Um, can you share with us what you would consider to be your greatest success?
Well, I think the greatest success that I have are the people that I've mentored along the way and the way that they're currently giving back. So in 1992, I actually wrote a vision statement of the youth program that I was doing at the time at Lakeshore. And one of those was to see a similar program that I was involved with at the University of Illinois be at some of the universities in Alabama. And currently, the University of Alabama and Auburn University have adapted sports programs. There are also youth programs that are currently provided in Montgomery through Huntingdon College. And there are programs up north in Madison that are done by people that were involved with a movement that we did, which was a statewide, we called it Super Sports Saturday Project, that we did in Birmingham, Tuscaloosa, Anniston, Decatur, Montgomery, and Mobile. And it was a youth program, but really from the youth, we've had people that have actually gone out and they're currently mentoring other children and adults with disabilities to be active, engaging people in their communities. And to me, that's the greatest accomplishment I think I've ever had, is that to have mentors that are going on and other people that are on a program. I've got kids, or, potential disciples or what have you. I have a person that's lobbying in DC. I have a couple former kids that, they're PhDs that are running programs in different parts of the country. I mean, to me, that's the greatest accomplishment I think I could have. And then to see the success of my own family and my kids, I think that's another byproduct of that as well. As since I've been able to coach, I've been able to be a dad, and seeing their success is also another encouraging thing. So having mentors and having disciples to continue the journey, I think, is a great achievement.
That's great. So you made a lasting impact on other people, and you started programs that have been carried out in other places besides Alabama. That is definitely an awesome success, and Is there anything else today that you want to share with us? Any question that I didn't ask that you were hoping I'd ask, and you some other information you'd like to share?
Well, I've known you for a long time, and we started our journeys very similar, but I think our paths are really the same. It was to encourage people to live healthy, productive lives. And I think the idea behind that is that we can do it with whatever path, whether it's through law, as you have taken, or if it's through sport, the road that I've taken, is that we each have an opportunity to impact others. And I think the more that we can take advantage is not just looking at ourselves, but looking at how we can help other people meet their potential. I think the beauty of that is what you've done, and I think I've had that impact as well. And I think the more people that we can continue to have that, the greater life we have ahead. And to me, that's it's been an honor to know you, and I hope that people don't get discouraged because they have a disability, because a lot of times I think people generally limit themselves to what they can do. And I hope through your leadership and other opportunities that are in our state, people can enjoy the work environment and enjoy Alabama.
Well, thank you. I want to say again, thank you so much for doing this interview. Busy man, coaching teams in other countries, world traveler, has made a significant impact in disability, but also outside of disabilities. People see you as a role model too, and they say, look at the doors that you've opened, and they're able to see that they can also do it. And that's what's so significant about all of your great work, Kevin. And I'm certainly honored to know you, and you inspire me also. And I certainly am very appreciative of your sharing your story and some personal details and the things that you've overcome. And I really like your motto, I can. That it's very simple, but it means a lot. And I think I'm hoping people hear that today, and they also say, I can also. So thank you, Kevin. We really appreciate this, and please keep in touch.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.